Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again here on Board Shorts, your bite-sized guide to becoming a franchisee. Today, I am joined by another wonderful Agency Express franchisee who's going to share some of his experiences of going through the franchise journey and joining a UK franchise network. So, Ian, how lovely to see you. Would you like to introduce yourself, first of all, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Ben. Nice to see you. So my name is Ian Beattie. I'm the Agency Express operative for Perth and Dundee and also Fife up here in Scotland. I've been doing this now for just over 18 months and yeah, enjoying it all so far. So
Good.
good.
So 18 months is not very long. Wow, that it feels for me when it's always very hard to place the length of time a franchisee has been with us because you come to your training course and then you head off into the wider world, and time after that point seems to move at very different rates depending on what's going on around us. So it's been 18 months since your training course, but I want to go back further. Let's go back further than that. Let's dive into Ian's origin story, just like Iron Man. What did you do before? So before you joined Agency Express, before you even considered franchising or anything to do with self-employment in the franchise world, what were you doing before that?
So for about 36 years, I was in the automotive industry, working mainly for a luxury brand, vehicles, passenger cars, which I enjoyed. I started as a technician all the way through to senior management, and it also took me overseas. So I, uh, 24 years ago, left to go to the Middle East, and I worked in Abu Dhabi for about 17 years, and then for the last 7 years before I joined Agency Express, I was in Bahrain. So working for the same brand but different companies, moving around. So yeah, very interesting, very you know uh, eye-opening sort of experiences.
Yeah.
I fancied a bit of a change, hence.
So So you obviously moved to the Perth Dundee area because the weather was very similar to when you were over in Bahrain. I presume it was family reasons that took you north of Hadrian as well.
Yeah, that's right. So my family was with me over in the Middle East, and my daughter was getting to an age where she needed to come back for further education. So my wife and daughter came back like 2 years before me. My wife's originally from Scotland. I'm originally from Leeds. So yeah, I headed north of the border and decided to settle here. But when I came back, I wanted to look for something that I could do within this area and stay with the family. I didn't want to work separately like previously, away from the family. So yeah, ventured into franchises.
The wonderful world of franchising. I love the idea that you had a conversation with your wife over in Bahrain at some point. She said, "We're moving to Scotland." You said, "We're moving to Leeds." You had a discussion, decided she was right, and moved to Scotland. It would be exactly the same with my wife. Okay, so you came back from Bahrain, you've returned from the Middle East, and you need to find something from a self-employment perspective that you want to work in. How did you find out about franchising? How did you get into that side of our world?
Oh, I'd been looking at franchising for quite some years because I knew at some point I was going to return back to the UK, and I fancied working for myself and doing something different. I'd worked in the corporate environment for many years, and I wanted to try something different. I also had an experience of onboarding a UK franchise, while I was in Bahrain, which opened my eyes a little bit to franchising and understood it a little bit more, how it works and how it operates, etc. So yeah, so I was looking at what kind of franchise I could take on, and to be honest, what drew me to Agency Express was I wanted a franchise that wasn't high in investment, but also had a reasonable return, and also not with huge overheads. So the one that I'd been involved was not huge investment initially to get it on board, but it had high overheads. So I didn't want to do that as a one man band sort of thing. I wanted to, not have that pressure as such.
Sure.
Taking a franchise on board. So I looked and I saw Agency Express, and I'll be honest with you, and a couple of others, but obviously I had a chat with yourself, and yeah, I was sold.
There you go. Well, that's nice to know that I'm the reason you're here, but but we'll move swiftly on. So you found out about us. You went through that due diligence process, which obviously is so important for any prospective franchisee, where you
Yeah.
start digging into more detail about the business. We would have meetings, you speak to franchisees, and of course, ultimately, you make the decision and you join the network. So, what was that onboarding phase like when you joined Agency Express and you came for your training course and then we release you into the wild? What was that like?
I'll be honest with you, I was quite apprehensive at the beginning because it was all new and I wasn't sure what was about. I know there was some great support in the background, but for the few days that I came down, or for the week that I came down to head office, everything was just so straightforward. It was so structured. Um, it made me really at ease after the full week of being there with the training and the discussions with the team, etc. I felt so much more confident going on, and I'm prepared and ready. And to be honest, I don't think there's anything further I needed to add after that week's onboarding training. I was good to go from day one. So it was, yeah, great experience. And yeah, it really put me at ease.
Good. That's nice to hear. So we then release you into the wild. So after the training course, you're with us here for 5 days at HQ, and then we come into the area with you for that first 3 or 4 days in your territory. What was it like the first time you walked through the door of an estate agent to talk to them? How terrifying was that?
Obviously, I wanted to make it to be a success. I wanted to give a good impression. Luckily, having James at my side and guiding me through it was another great support. And he's obviously very experienced. He walked you through it, you know, made the introductions, and then it was easy to pick up what those kind of discussions were, and preempt the discussion before you walked in of what sort of would you see when you go through the door and who to look out for
Mm,
and whatnot. And yeah, it worked very well. I mean, we made some good contacts at the beginning, and I'll be honest with you. Initially, from after the meetings, you think, oh, maybe there's not much business going to come from there. And James says, no, believe me, it's a slow burner. They will come. And lo and behold, a few weeks later, a few months later, the clients were coming on board. And
yeah.
it was great to see that, with the confidence and the experience that was there from James, it really did come to fruition and bring on new clients. So very, very
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, good. That's such an important part of it, isn't it? That belief and faith in the process and the structure that it will
Yeah.
work. Obviously, we've launched many franchisees over the last 30 years, and we've seen it lots of times before. But what we always try and remember is when we're out with a new franchisee like yourself, it's very daunting. The
Yeah.
process of where's the business going to come from? How is the business going to build? We have to instill those 30 years of experience into you in a relatively short period of time. But all part of the fun. So the business built relatively quickly, didn't you? Once we started getting traction and the clients were coming on board, it started really to gather pace. What do you think it was that you did that worked so well in terms of building your business from there?
To build a good reputation and be there for your clients and give them good service. Just no frills, just give them the good basic standard service and then build from there. Communication is important. Listening to them, um, obviously learning how and where to place the boards, but also getting feedback as well and listening to the feedback and making sure your clients are happy, touching base with them, make sure that if there's anything you can do differently, you take that on board and make that difference. And to be honest, once you've got that relationship going, it all comes. The work comes. They feel more confident in your abilities, and they start to pass more work your way.
Mm,
Whereas before they might not have put a board up there before, then they'll start to put more boards your way, or maybe they were doing the slip changes themselves or something like that. Yeah. So I found that to be, I'd say, after a few months, to be the case where they felt confident that they could pass more work your way. And again, it's word of mouth as well. The agents
mm,
know each other. They speak to, oh, who do you use? Oh, we use Agency Express. Our local operator's Ian. There's his number. Get in touch with him, and then you're getting new clients knocking on your door. Just through word of mouth, offering a good service. So
yeah.
being reliable, turnaround time is really important. Making sure you're putting the boards up at the right time and a good quality service. Yeah, that's it. It's not rocket science. It's just the
No,
basics
that's true.
as
Yeah.
per the training. you know. So
Yes, indeed. You'll remember I say that a lot in training. It's not what we do isn't rocket science. It's how we get there that's
yeah,
important. That's what sets us apart. Okay, so grew very quickly, new clients coming on board, and then an opportunity presents itself for you to build into a second territory and take on an additional chunk of business in the Fife area. That must have been quite a daunting step for you as well.
yeah, absolutely. I didn't know if I was ready for it yet because it came, you know, the opportunity came at quite an early stage. But to be honest, I'd thought about it before, and if an opportunity did come up, I wanted to take it because I wanted to grow the business. I felt that there was, you know, there was opportunities to be had, and you know, I could handle more responsibility and more opportunities and grow the business further. So yeah, when you came knocking on the door with the opportunity, I jumped at it, you know, and yeah, it was a bit stressful at the beginning because obviously I had to onboard an employee. I couldn't do it all by myself, which I did for a few weeks, and I found that very tough. Um, you know, to keep the clients happy and making sure that you got the jobs done on time. But you know, and to be honest, you know, the first employee didn't work out just
Mm.
as it was, but persevered, and you know, with the help of Naomi and the marketing team, helping me find some other candidates. You know, I've got a guy who works for me now, and he's absolutely fantastic. You know, and really is helping me, and you know, I don't have that worry anymore of looking after, you know, two territories in the same day. I leave it to the guy. I oversee it. Fantastic, you know, and it works really smooth. I help him out. He phones me 4 or 5 times a day, but I don't mind, and we have a good relationship. But yeah, it works really well. So I think it's just a matter of persevering, and it will come, and it will settle, and
Yeah,
things will
yeah.
continue to grow, which it
Most de-
has done.
Most definitely. The just keep swimming principle, really important. The one
Yeah.
we try and instill in all franchisees when those tough moments arrive, and they will, you know, all businesses will have bumps in the road and challenges you have to overcome. Most important thing is just keep swimming, just do the next right thing, focus on the next task. And largely, as long as we continue to do that, the conglomeration of the small successes then outweigh the minor bumps in the road that present themselves. So you've achieved a lot in a relatively small space of time. I would say it's fair to say. So what does the next 5 years look like for Ian? What's the target?
For myself, I'd like to continue the growth, obviously in a sustainable way, not, you know, too fast, but in a way that I keep my client service well and not to let anyone down. So take new clients on, and it might come that I need another employee, another van, just continue that expansion. What I would like is eventually maybe to take a step back a little bit from the business and have people working for me, and so I can spend a bit more time with my family, etc. And you know, but still keep my finger on the pulse and making sure the business is going well. So ideally, that's where I'd like to be, where the business is at a size where I can take a step back away from it a little bit, but I, you know, make sure it maintains and grows and continues to be successful, and you know, continue pushing the brand Agency Express in a good light, you know? So it's
Just
important.
more time for the motorbike, right? That's really the target
Exactly.
here.
A bit of
So
touring.
yes, indeed, that was the first thing that Ian and I connected over when we started talking about franchising. We got off that very quickly and started talking about motorbikes instead. Okay, so where I always like to finish, and I've already had 15 minutes of your time, which I'm hugely appreciative of. So let's finish up with the final question. If you could give one tip, one thing that you would say to someone considering franchising or considering joining Agency Express, what would it be?
Um, I would do your homework, you know, do your due diligence, make sure it's for you. Um, you know, it's working for yourself is not the easiest of things, but to be honest, it can be very rewarding. You know, I still, you know, I wake up in the morning, go to work, and I've got a smile on my face. So make sure it's what you want to do. For Agency Express, it's you know, and it's been around for many years. It's well structured. It'll give you all the tools that you need to be successful and to get on board easy enough. So, you know, I wouldn't hesitate joining. You know, if I was to do it again, I wouldn't hesitate go through it. But yeah, just make sure that it's what you want to do. Do your due diligence, and work hard at it, push yourself. Don't don't settle for the status quo. There's a lot of business out there to be had. If you do a good job, and that's it, just a straightforward job. You don't have to work 24/7, just to put the effort in and make sure you keep your customers happy.
Ian, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to speak to one of the franchise network and understand what made you join Agency Express and what makes you tick. Hopefully that will be useful to any prospective franchisees who might be looking to join our network or indeed another franchise network in the UK. So that all that leaves me to say is thank you again to Ian for joining us today, and thank you for watching. Join us again soon for another episode of Board Shorts.